Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally do that. And everyone comps a little differently, right? Like I was taught it's going to vary per neighborhood. There's going to be a lot of different variations that come into play. So it'll be interesting when Chris shares, right? Because Chris is a licensed agent. He's been doing this for a long time. Um, and I remember Chris saying like he doesn't comp price per square foot. I think he said that, right, Alex?
yeah.
Which I comp price per square foot typically, and a lot of wholesalers that I know and have kind of learned from comp price per square foot. So I'm interested to see how Chris is doing it differently, but I comp price per square foot, and that's what most people and a lot of people look at. So I think after we go over some questions and whatnot, and let a few more people join up here, I'll screen share prop stream and dive into that. Prop stream is only like $99 a month or $100 a month. I think it's one of the best tools you can have. One for pulling your own list, pulling your own data, but then also to the comping and features it has. Like it's so easy to comp on PropStream in comparison to like Zillow and other free sites. It's super easy. The interface could look a little intimidating at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's like you could comp properties super fast. So I'm a big fan of PropStream. Um, Maybe we need to get that PropStream referral link, Alex, by uh by pushing it out a lot. But yeah, I really like PropStream for sure. I don't have experience with Privy. I've used it a little bit previously, but I'm mainly a PropStream guy. Alex, have you used Privy? I'm trying to remember if you have.
Ever.
Never. Gotcha. I think I did like a trial on Privy and then I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna stick with PropStream." But yeah, let's see here. On comps, when you have a property that has the same layout and square footage but has a larger lot size, how does that affect your numbers? So it depends on the lot size, right? If it's 3,000 feet, 3,000 square feet larger, I wouldn't make any adjustments at all, really, because that's going to be such a small differentiation in the value. But if you have a 3 acre lot and a 7,000 square foot lot, then you would probably need to make more of a major adjustment. And that's really just going to depend on where that property's at, and what land's going for. So, I mean, if you were looking at a property in LA, or Southern California in general, where everything's a fortune, like that land is going to cost a lot more than it would in, for example, like Lubbock, Texas, where we bought some deals recently. So in Lubbock, Texas, that might be like a little $10,000 to $20,000 difference there that I would adjust. But if that was in California, then you're probably looking at a major difference, potentially 50,000 plus, most likely 50,000 plus. So it really just depends, where the location's at, but you definitely want to make adjustments if one comp has a significantly larger lot that it's on. Um, and then I'll kind of, Alex, I know you just messaged me that you just gave me permission to screen share. Should I pop up a screen share now on PropStream, or should we see if anyone has any specific questions first, or just in terms of the flow of things? Just want to see what you think, because I can start diving into it now. I just don't want to go in too long and cut off question time.
Yeah, I think you could start with a brief underwriting or just overview on a specific property. And as people have questions, feel free to chime in, um, and we can kind of go from there.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, I wonder if anyone has an address or something. Actually, let's do that off of a potential lead, whatever property. If not, I can just pull a random one. But I'm just curious if someone wants me to comp something and look at something really quick, I can do that. Um, where I can just pick a random address if no one has an address they want to share. Okay, I'm gonna pick a random address. Let's see. Uh, mm,
Where do you want it to be? I could try to look.
let's see here. Um, all right. I don't know what this is. This was just in recent searches. Okay, we can do this one. So this is in San Antonio. And the thing that's cool about PropStream, you look up the address, you click on the property, and then you have all this information here. So it's going to tell you single family home, if it's on market, off market, just some basic info, non-owner occupied. Um, what the heck? I think my monitor literally just broke as we're talking. There's like a big blue crack going down my screen. That's
No,
so weird.
someone
Yeah,
drew,
huh?
someone drew that. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, someone drew, someone drew that. Okay, that wasn't me who drew that. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, um, yeah. So they've owned this property for a while, 22 years. And when I see something like that, I see non-owner occupied, 22 years. That's something that okay could potentially be a tired landlord, potential like seller finance scenario because there's probably a lot of equity and they wouldn't need a lot of money down or some sort of creative option or even lowball cash offer. So that's just something to kind of have in the back of your head. Typically, like with an owner occupied house, it's a lot harder to get those people to accept lowball cash offers or creative terms just because, hey, this is the spot they're living in. They might not have anywhere else to go. They need as much money as possible to go find another place to live. So it's a lot trickier with owner occupied residencies unless it's like a super motivated list like pre-foreclosure or something and they're about to lose their house. So anyway, property details just shows the assessed value, a lot of information about the property here. I'll go to that in a second, but comparables and nearby listings, that's what I use to actually comp and look at the properties. Tax information, just showing the assessed value. Link properties, you can see how many properties that person owns who's on title, the estimated mortgage info, and these are just some occasionally you can download random documents about the property as well. But in terms of actually underwriting the deal, we'll go to comparables in nearby listings. So Texas is a non-disclosure state. It makes it a little bit trickier, but typically these are pretty accurate and still spot on with what PropStream's showing. I don't like to look at public record. I used to look at both MLS sales and public record sales, but I've noticed public record, sometimes there's some huge price differences and it's not always as accurate. So with the MLS data, I find it to be more accurate and less discrepancies or spreads within the numbers. So I'm going to click MLS. And then as you can see here on the bottom, I have a little map that shows each of the comps and how close they are to the subject property. And I always like to go within the last like 3 months or so, and then I'll push back if there's not a lot of recent comps that have sold in the area. So we'll go to October, what is that? November, December. So that's about 3 months. We'll see October 1st. Okay, so since October 1st, there is two comps that have sold in the area. I usually like to try to match the dude, someone's drawing on my freaking screen. That's funny. I usually like to match the bed and bath to be exact. But that's the thing. If there's not a lot of different options out there in terms of comps, then you can, you know, add some leeway and wiggle room there. So this is the 3-1. So I could technically change it to like 2-4, meaning that one property that's a comp could have an extra bathroom or bedroom, or it could have one less. And then I would just adjust accordingly. Usually that's a $10,000 to $20,000 addition or subtraction from a for an extra bedroom, and then for a bathroom, usually that's a $5,000 or $10,000 addition or subtraction. And this is just general nationwide census, right? If we're talking like Beverly Hills, nice house out there, you're not looking at like a $20,000 difference for an extra bedroom. That's probably way more. I don't deal with like super high end stuff like that, so I don't know what that would look like, but it wouldn't be 20,000. It'd be way more than that. So pretty much here, I want more comps than this, and I didn't add the bedroom count yet. So let me look at these. Yeah, so one of these is a 2-1, the other one's a 4-3. So, like I said, those aren't exact comps. So just out of curiosity here, I want to try to find an exact comp, at least for bedroom size. Bathroom size, I don't really care. I'll just do minimum bathrooms 1, maximum 3, half-mile radius. Kind of gives me a rough square footage of, the subject property is 1,300 square feet. This is going from 1,000 to 1,584. I think it auto populates like a 200 something spread, either above or below. So I don't have any comps right now that I've put this data here. So maybe I go back another month or two. So I'll go back another month or two. Now I have some comps. I hate to see stuff like this. Some properties are super easy to comp where it's just like snap of the finger, 1, 2, 3, super easy to find comps. Others are a lot more tedious and they might not be as precise. And I think this is going to be one where they're not going to be as precise. Um, because right here, and sorry, I just want to check, is this clear on everyone's screen or should I zoom in a bit? Does this look good, Alex?
Yeah,
Zoom in.
Yeah, you could zoom in, that'd be good.
Zoom in a bit. Okay,
good
there we
catch.
go. Okay. Um, dude, I don't know how to erase this off my screen. That's annoying.
I do, but I don't think I can do it as a
Okay,
non.
whatever. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Um, so yeah, so these comps, when you're looking at the spread here, it's not good. Like, I don't have accurate comps that I feel comfortable with because unfortunately here you do with prop stream, you occasionally get like rentals that are thrown in the mix. And I know I could probably edit it out on a filter, but I usually just ignore them. Because it's showing here the amount sold was 1,490. That's for rent. That just got thrown in with the sales. But so disregard the rent one, which is $1 a square foot. But when I look at these two comps, I see $278 a square foot, and then I see 164. So there's a huge spread there. So that tells me this top one is either in a super high end area, or it tells me that this one in is like a fixer upper and not in a good area, right? So that's one thing you always want to do too. You want to look at these comps yourself and get a visual on them and say, okay, why did this one sell for so much more than the last one? So when I'm looking at this one, um, it looks like, and realtor.com usually has the interior pictures of the property. I just clicked on Zillow right now, but just for time's sake, just from looking at the exterior, it looks like it was newer. Well, I can see when it was built. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so it was a newer build. Um, it was a newer build, and I usually like to keep the time frame from when our subject property's built, like a 20-year range. So ours was built in 2004. This was built in 2022. So it is pretty new in comparison to the comp. Oh yeah, no wonder why there's a huge difference. So this comp was built 1948, so that's a little farther back than we'd like. So I can make that adjustment in year built here. But that's why that sold for so much cheaper, more than $100 a square foot less. Because like, look at this. It's older house. I guess you could say rent ready. Like you could, a tenant could move in there, but it's not like modern standard, right? Which is why it sold for so much cheaper. And then this one is, at least from the outside, and I'm assuming the inside, it looks really nice too. It looks brand new, and I'm sure it's fully renovated and up to modern day standard. So likely when you're comping, you're looking for ARV or after repair value, which is like modern market standard. So I need more data to look at, right? I don't have enough data to look at here. There was two comps that I looked at. One of them was older and super outdated, and then the other one was newer and probably more similar to what our subject properties like. So I want to find more stuff like this that would justify like a $278 per square foot price. So and I'm super interested, Alex, actually, to see how Chris's comping is different from what I'm doing. Because I think a lot of people that I know do it this way, price per square foot, and you make according adjustments. But this is the way I always done it, and pretty much everyone else that I work with and speak with kind of do price per square foot too. Right, Alex? Unless I'm just really bad and I've been
No,
ignorant the whole time.
no,
I don't
I
know.
there's just multiple ways to do it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not being right or wrong. It's just whatever you personally like better.
So what I'm gonna do now, try to get a little more data before I go back any farther in time. I'm gonna maybe go up on square footage a little bit to like 1,700, and then maybe I'll drop it down to like 980. Didn't really add anything. That didn't give me any more potential comparables to look at. So now the next thing I want to do is maybe go to a mile radius, and that should populate more. Okay. So that populated way more. Now I have 21 comps to look at, where last time in a half-mile radius, I only had 3. So now with 21 comps, this should give me a much better idea. But of course I picked one. I mean, it's good to see, but this isn't a fun one to comp just because there's going to be a lot of discrepancy here. Like if you can see on the map, this looks like it's right by a major freeway or a meeting of major freeways. Like 2 major freeways are crossing right here, and this house is like right below the freeway. I'm actually glad I saw that. It looks a little more industrial right here, so I'm just automatically assuming probably not a good area. Um, And one thing I just discovered with PropStream too, actually, is you can do this. I don't know if they just added this feature, but it's pretty cool. I mean, of course, you can go on Google and do that as well, but I just like it for the convenience.
That's a good feature for sure.
Yeah, but not a nice looking property. Nonetheless, not a nice looking property in an industrial area. Um, Definitely not worth 400,000 or whatever that comp was. Yeah, 435,000. So this all fixed up probably isn't going to be worth 430,000. So I think that other comp too was a outlier. Um, and like the prop stream estimate on here is showing 206K. That's, of course, that's just an estimation. That's never exact. I don't think if I go out of that, it's going to delete it all. But then you could see like the assessed value where it was assessed or appraised at last year, 2022 was 202,000. So probably not worth 200. I mean, excuse me, 430,000. So that was probably a outlier comp. So to minimize this 21 now, because this is going to give us all a headache if we go through a bunch of these, I'm going to bring it back to like October. Okay, there's 12. Let me go to like November. Okay, perfect. So there's 6 to look at now. Okay, actually, I'm going to go back to October. Sorry. I just want a little more than 6 because there was only like 3 on there, and those were in the upper 180 range. So, okay. So I'm looking at all these different properties. Some of these, like I said, a couple rentals get thrown in the mix here, but I'm going to look at, and another reason this one's tricky, like I said, location wise, like this is right next to major freeways and industrial kind of areas where, like, I don't know if you can see this, but this, if you're looking on the left-hand side, and it's actually kind of weird, it actually looks kind of cool. If you're looking on the left-hand side of the freeway, so if you're looking on this side, it looks a lot different than the right side. Is anyone else seeing that? The right side looks a lot more vibrant and I don't know, I'm guessing a nicer neighborhood, where the left side looks a lot more like dull and kind of industrial like and probably not the nicer part of town. That's just my guess. And of course, like one way you'd be able to see that is let me look at property 2 and let me look at property 1 and see what the difference is there. That could maybe give us an idea if they were similar. No, of course, property 1 is a rental, but property, what was it? Property 2 and
And
property.
I just want to chime in real quick. When you're looking at comps and you're doing this virtually, something that you can do is just pick 2 random agents to call in the area that are actively doing deals and just try to get some feedback in terms of the neighborhood or the subject property you're trying to get some more info about, because those are the people that are, I mean, the real estate agents, so they should have a general idea of what each neighborhood should look like in the area and kind of tell you, okay, there's a lot of crime here, this is a safe neighborhood, and just kind of help with that.
Yeah, no, good point. Thanks for mentioning that. And to add to that, you don't want to say, hey, Mr. or Miss Agent, I'm a wholesaler. There's this property I'm thinking of wholesaling. Can you give me some feet? They're going to hang up the phone. Hey, I'm about to buy this property. I might need an agent to list it for me. Not 100% sure if I'm going to pull the trigger on it yet, though. Can you give me your thoughts on the house and the neighborhood? I don't have any agents I work with out in San Antonio. I'm not saying we're for sure going to list it and work with you, but I'd appreciate any help. Then they're going to want to work with you to maybe get a listing. But if you're just calling them asking for advice or feedback, they're going to hang up. Most of them, unless they're really nice. But I know a lot of you who've done direct to agent calls probably got the vibe that a lot of agents aren't super nice and don't want to just waste time on BS. So I'm gonna look at 1 and 3, or not 1 and 3. Shoot, one's a rental. Well, I'll look at, let's see here. Which ones did I look up? Drake. Okay, I looked up 2 and 3. So 2 and 3, property 3's here, property 2's there. There might not be a huge discrepancy between the neighborhoods. Because let's see what's the price per square footage difference. Pretty close, 197 and 174. So fairly close. One was built in 1948, one was built in 1987. And there's, like I said, there's so much stuff you can do and little tweaks you can make to get as precise as you want. But just for simplicity's sake, so we're not doing this forever, I'm not going to make an adjustment because technically like this 1948 build is kind of out of the range I'd like to be at since this was built in 2004, right? 1948 is like over 50 years. So that's something where it's like, our subject property, you could probably add like 20K of value or, slightly more value because it's a newer house in comparison to that comp. But we'll take a look at that comp and see how old it looks. We'll look at realtor.com on both of these. Okay, so that's really weird. Okay, so that's obviously not a real picture. That's like a construction layout of what it's gonna look like. Let's see if there's even pictures online. Okay, no. So this is just a lot. So that's a new build. What was it? Okay, really weird. PropStream isn't always super accurate. This is showing it was built in 1987, which isn't right. So I'm guessing there was an old build there, they knocked it down and they built a new build. That's my guess because based off these pictures here, um, or wait, where was I? Yeah, based off the pictures I was just showing on Realtor, that was like a newer build that was just being built. So I know that's not the case. So it's probably a new build then. Um, so let me go back here. Let's look at this one, or we just looked at that one. Okay, so this is the other property. Probably more similar to our subject property, right? Our subject property looked maybe a little nicer than this one on the outside. We don't know what the interior looks like on the subject property. I think this was a direct to seller lead. But I would say this one looks more similar. It doesn't look like a great area. The neighboring houses look pretty similar to ours. Like, let's see. Yeah, I would say like that property looks similar to ours and the neighboring houses and whatnot. So I would say this one is a really solid comp, even if it's like in a different quote unquote neighborhood because we're on the other side of the freeway. I don't think that has a huge effect in this instance, for example. But so that one would be that was this property here, 211 Bank Street. That one sold in October for 209, 3-bed, 2-bath. That sold for 197 a square foot. So I'm just gonna find like one or two more comps to go off of. Actually, I usually like to try to get three, so I'll find two more. So 211 Bank. 211 Bank was also 332. Or wait, shoot. Oh, sorry, I just looked at that one. 116 Huerta Street. I'm gonna look at that one. That one was also 3.2. That sold for 174 a square foot. That one is a little confusing, and if I was actually really doing this, and I'd probably pick another one, but just for time's sake, let's just assume that one kind of looks like our property. Because I don't know if it is or not, because the pictures look like a new build, but then this is telling me it was built in 1987. So kind of strange. Um, then we'll find one more that looks fairly similar. So let's see here. This property number 4 here, where's that at on the map? That one's down here a little bit. We can see what that one looks like. Let's see. I'm curious what the price per square footage was on it. 165. So it's kind of in that general ballpark range, a little cheaper than one of the other comps. Let's see here. And for some reason, it's weird. Realtor almost always has pictures of the interior if it was recently sold, whereas like Redfin and Zillow, they usually don't. A lot of the times, it's just the exterior pictures. But this one has interior pics too. So this isn't a good one. This isn't like an ARV one because this obviously this house isn't like turnkey and modern standard. This could be like an as is comp. Like if you were trying to compare apples to apples, where you're like, okay, our subject property. I haven't seen the interior of our subject property. I'm assuming it looks like this though. I'm assuming it's outdated and needs some work. So this wouldn't be like a ARV comp. This could be an as is comp. So a house that's a little run down, not in great condition, um, sold for 165 a square foot. So the other thing is too, like the other one we looked at, which was not this one. That one's weird. I'm gonna delete that one. But this one, turnkey and livable. But I would still wouldn't say like, I don't know. because that neighborhood isn't something where you're expecting granite countertops and white marble floors, like a bunch of crazy stuff. So I would say for that neighborhood, this would be like market standard ready. It doesn't look like it really needs any repairs or anything. Um, I mean, I don't know what that tape is right there, but I don't think that's anything. Maybe they're just finishing a painting or whatever. We'll just assume it's turnkey. So then I'll look for one more comp. That one I just looked at, I wouldn't like to throw it in there, even though it's not too far off. It's still a bit cheaper, and it clearly didn't look turnkey to me. It looked like it needed some work to be hitting an ARV valuation where it's like comparables that are modernized. And then another thing too is looking at properties at maybe like outliers. Like I'm curious, why is this house 395K? So I'm gonna look at that one. It could be it's in a really nice different neighborhood because it's kind of on the upper top area of the map. All these are still only a mile or less away from the property, our subject property. So yeah, so that's why. That's why it's a brand new build, super nice, or a lot nicer on the inside. I would say that's modern standard. Then another thing too, I saw one of the pictures. I'm assuming the neighborhood's a lot nicer too. So I'll look here. And this must have just been a brand new recent flip because that's what it used to look like. Okay, maybe the neighborhood's not nicer. I would say the neighborhood's not nicer actually at all. So, let's see here.
How
I
much
picked
is this worth? Does it say 400,000?
395. I was just gonna say I picked a fun one here because I think that could be an error on prop stream or someone. I think I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that's definitely not worth 400,000 just based off the other
Yeah.
stuff we saw. It's not. Um, so
Okay.
that's probably a prop stream error. That's my guess. Like I said with Texas, I probably picked a bad one to do Texas since it's a non-disclosure because there's technically more errors usually with Texas. But I mean, look at Zillow. Even the Zillow data is saying it was a pending sale at 395. So that's strange to me. I still don't think I shouldn't say I don't think. I 100% know that thing didn't sell for 395 unless it was some flipper doing some weird tax thing and they actually sold it at that to take a loss and do something. That's the only way I can think of. Um, because I mean, Alex and I have worked deals in San Antonio where they're like, massive, well, not massive, but like nice brick build houses that are fully renovated that are worth like 420. And this is still like tiny and not a brick build. And so I know that's not correct. So we'll ignore that one. Like I said too, I think when I was looking at it, why is this 395? This might be an outlier, which it is because I think it's an error on PropStream. So I'll look at something that seems more realistic in the ballpark range of the price per square foot we were looking at. So this one was 197 a square foot. So I'll look at this one. And this was number 8. Where was this located on the map? So this was just down on the bottom left corner a little bit, maybe in a different subdivision. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this one's a good comp. So I would say like this is a somewhat modern, like renovated home that would be like market standard for that area, for that kind of look and style of house. So I would say our subject property looks pretty similar to that. This one sold for 198 in October, and that was 197 a square foot, right? So the 3 comps I have now was this one, which was 197 a square foot, this one, which is 174, this one, which was 197. So that tells me I have probably a decent pool of comps right there because the price per square footage is in a really close ballpark range with one another, and there's not a major discrepancy. One thing I will mention though is this one I just pulled. That's a comp. It's 1922 build, which is like old. That's 100 years old. So that's like an 80-year difference between our subject property and that. So technically I could say, well, that's not good. Let me try to find a different one. But just for simplicity's sake and time's sake, so I don't push the date back and then change this, because this one, of course, I picked like a tricky one to comp that would take a while. But we could probably say our subject property is worth maybe a bit more all fixed up just because it's a newer build than that one. Like a lot of people, including myself, like when I'm comping, I try to stay like 20, 25-year radius between year builds with our subject property. So that one, as long as they look good though and in good shape, it's not going to be a huge deal. But typically you would still definitely want to adjust if a property's, 80 years older than the subject, like that should be excluded, but just for simplicity's sake, and I've already kind of looked at them, we're just going to roll with it and act like, let's just pretend this was an 8 instead of a 2. Let's pretend it's 1982. So, I see that range of price per square footage all kind of makes sense, right? So if I pick like 3 or 4 comps and I'm looking and I'm like, wait, one of them's 317 a square foot, the other's 160, and the other one's 210, I wouldn't feel confident in those numbers because I'm all over the place, right? Like I'm looking at 3 properties that are way, way different price per square foot where something's up with my numbers. Whereas like the 3 I'm looking at now, I have 197, I have 197, and then I have 174. So I wouldn't even call 174 an outlier because there's just a slight difference there, of maybe like 10%. And then typically what I do is, um, I'll find the average price per square foot of those comps I look at. So 197 plus 174 divided by 2. I'm not going to add 197 and 197 together because that's pointless. It's going to be the same number. So that's 186. That's what I would say my price per square footage would be. Meaning if my subject property, which I don't know the condition, but let's just say it looked like those and it was turnkey and livable and in decent shape, it would be worth 186 a square foot ARV. So then what you typically do is you take that price per square footage you got of those comps, 186, and then I would multiply it by the square footage of my subject property, which is 1,320. So 186 times 1,320, then that would take me to about a 245K ARV. So that's the number I get there just based off looking at those comps, and which doesn't seem too far off from this because obviously these estimations aren't always super accurate. Like PropStream is saying a 206 estimation. I've seen them before where PropStream is way higher, and I've seen them before where PropStream is way lower. Zillow's showing a 165. I'm curious what Realtor is showing. Or shoot, it's not. Huh. Whatever. But yeah, so that's in the ballpark range. And that's another thing too, is like neighborhood and location wise. Like we were looking here, even though these properties are all less than a mile away, like this is right by a major freeway and like an industrial area. So that's the thing. Like that's where comping gets tricky, and it's never black and white because, hey, this house being in not a great area, even though it's only a mile away from these comps, it being right under and right next to major freeways and the industrial area, how's that going to affect the price? So really, if you really wanted to go deep, I would push the date back like far or farther, I should say, and then I would see if there was anything that sold like, okay, this sold a while ago then. This sold in August. Okay. Okay, that's a new build. That's why. So, I mean, I'm curious to see what this looks like, but this was a new build right across the street that sold for a lot of money. That's why I'm like, okay, is this right? Or maybe we already looked. I think we already looked at this one actually. Yeah, we already looked at this one, but this was right across the street and it sold for a lot. So maybe that area isn't that bad then. Maybe I'm just and that's the thing when you're wholesaling virtually, you just have to make the best assumptions possible. I haven't been to San Antonio. I don't know this area, and like Alex said, if you're speaking with an agent or someone local, they could give you some more insight on an area. Because I've tried to wholesale properties. I remember one in Tyler, Texas. The numbers looked amazing, but literally there was no major freeways or anything we saw, but just literally going like 2 blocks down the street was where most of my comps were, and that was a nicer area. And in the area where where our subject property was, like it was a lot worse just from 2 blocks over. And from what my numbers looked like, it was like a 180 ARV. All our buyers and people were telling us like, hey, this is worth 140 just because of the area. And the street view didn't look too drastically different at all. Um, so I mean, these 2 houses look nice here. These don't look the greatest, but I mean, I guess that's the general census. Like even on the other side of town I was looking at, it didn't look the greatest either. Um, but not bad. I just picked a random one to comp quickly. of course, not everything is going to be super clean and quick and easy. Shoot, we should skip trace this, Alex, and cold call it. Uh, and yeah, so there's that. And I just thought of this randomly. This is what virtual driving for dollars is, because I know people asked about it on the last meeting. You're just going around on Street View, and then you're getting addresses and writing them down and skip tracing them for houses that look like fixers. But anyway, that's a random side thought. Any questions with that or anything you want to add, Alex? Because that was a quick little, I guess that was like 30 minutes, so I guess it wasn't as quick as I anticipated. But any questions with that, or anyone want to share anything?
What are the actionable insights for next year?
Sorry, what was that?
Uh, like what are the actionable insights you have for next year, 2020?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit more about that. And everyone's in a different position, and people have different things that they need to do. So it's kind of hard to try to come up with, Jack, can you throw me back host? It's kind of hard to give
Yeah, I got you.
everyone the same plan, but in terms of what I think, at least like your monthly goal or what you should be doing if maybe you haven't gotten a deal and you want to take this a little bit more serious going forward, is I made this little doc, and I personally think you only really need to be calling 2 hours a day during the week to get one deal a month if you're staying consistent with it. And so here, I'll zoom out so everyone could kind of read it. But what I think is really important is just talking to more people and making offers. If you haven't gotten a deal in maybe a month, it's important to kind of reflect on your progress and what you've been doing. And if you haven't even made one offer to a home in 30 days and you want to get a deal, it just doesn't make sense. I think Jack and I are probably sending about 10 to 15 different offers before one gets accepted. And so with that being said, it's really impossible for you to get deals in real estate without making offers and talking to people. And so what I would suggest everyone doing if you want to take this more serious is really just talk to more people, whether it's agents, sellers, going to real estate events, just being more active in whatever you want to do, because everyone's a little bit different. Everyone has a little bit different of a lifestyle. Not everyone wants to work every day, so it's just a matter of finding like a good work-life balance and staying consistent.
Yeah, definitely. No, thanks for sharing that, Alex. And yeah, that's one thing I want to mention too. Like I've seen so many people, and I haven't been in the industry, obviously, like Chris has been for 20 plus years, because I wasn't in the womb 20 plus years ago, but I was a little baby. Um, but just in doing this in like a year and a half, I've seen so many people come and go just like that super quickly. Um, I mean, I guess that's any industry or any business thing, like people wanting instant gratification and seeing results instantly. But it took me like almost 4 months to get my first deal. And that was kind of my lack of skill and kind of guidance and, a handful of other things that were going on. But I was calling like 20 hours a week minimum. And I was just cold calling though, like what virtual assistants are doing. Like I was just cold calling direct to seller lists, um, single dialing. So it wasn't super efficient what I was doing. If I was calling a bunch of numbers at once, it would have been more efficient. But regardless, the point is like I was grinding fairly hard at it for 20 to 30 hours a week while I was going to college full time for almost 4 months until I got my first deal. And a lot of people will jump into this and they'll think like, okay, like I want a deal in my first week or my first couple days or whatever. And then they call like, hey, Jack, I spoke with these 5 people today. I think this one's a deal. And then I look at it, I'm like, and then I just don't hear from them. And then their real estate wholesaling journey and big idea and vision they had of it is just gone and down the drain. And that's probably like, I don't know, I wouldn't say 99% of people, but I would say like 90 to 95% of people that come in this and try to do this, they try it for a little bit and then they just bounce and you don't hear from them again. And one thing I say to Alex, and you know, there's definitely a lot of you in here that like we speak a fair amount, we talk a lot about this stuff, and it's super nice and motivating. Like we're happy to help in any way we can. Like when you're reaching out to us and like, you know, everyone's really about it and you guys are really about it. But I've told Alex too, like we have a lot of people in our network where we can't like handhold everyone. Like someone, it makes me so happy. Like I got a text while we were in the Zoom here where someone was just like, what did he say? He's like, just randomly came to mind and I wanted to know, I really appreciate you for our brief convos when we've had meetups and sharing your success and struggles, blah, blah, blah. Just something like that. I'm like, that's awesome. That makes me feel good that I've helped that guy out and he's seen me like working really hard at it too. But then at the same time, like there's so many people that we've had great conversations and helped each other, but you know, they try it out for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they kind of just say, this is harder than I thought. And then they were great, but Alex and I talked to so many people where we can't like handhold and I can't reach out to, you know, all these people saying, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how are you doing? Unless you're working with us like close knit, which, you know, a lot of you are. But that's one thing too, like having a structure and setup and guidelines like this, like Alex is sharing here. If you're following something like this and just sticking consistent with it, even if you're not getting a deal at the snap of a finger, as long as you're seeing positive momentum and like a snowball effect, then something's going to happen. Whether it's deals are going to start coming or you're just going to notice your skills improving. Like Cruz, for example, on last Tuesday's call, like Cruz started this like a month and a half ago, and his first calls a month and a half ago, they weren't bad back then, but I think you'd been doing some cold calling before then, Cruz, as well. But just the progress you've made in a month and a half, Cruz, is incredible. Like when you were doing a mock role play call, everyone was like, wow, that was like really, really good, Cruz. Like, good job. And that's going to keep spiraling and snowballing. And then all of a sudden, eventually you start getting deals coming in and your skills will just improve. And like Alex said, if you're networking, having more conversations with people, if you're providing value, then hey, people are going to want to work with you. Like that Novation lead that we had I think a call with on Tuesday that I shared with Chris. Someone brought me that lead, and then now we have that lead under contract for innovation. Just because a lot of stuff just gets thrown in your lap. The more you kind of put yourself out there, provide value, network, and definitely like Alex has here on the week 2 part, like building the pipeline and making offers is super crucial. But yeah, I just wanted to chime in on that kind of randomly and quickly.
No, thanks. And then one thing that you mentioned is like we want to help everyone, but at the end of the day, I have to kind of let the work be the filter. And it's something Pace has really been strong about, and I totally agree with it. Like as much as I would love to be able to listen in to your calls throughout the day for everyone while you're making them, like I would love to, but unfortunately, I'm only one person, and Jack and I have tons of responsibility. And so, in order to really seek success, it's you have to pick up the phone or you have to go outside and start talking to people. There's people that have tons of money that maybe we don't, and so they have that easy route of maybe doing pay-per-click and having inbound leads coming, but most of us don't have it like that. So we have to do the dirty work, and this isn't for everyone. This is in terms of lead generation and finding deals, this is something that is more like the salesperson type of role, and not everyone fits that role, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you can't get deals. So then if that's you, it's important to pivot to something that you find enjoyable, because if you're doing something you don't like, you'll just get burnt out way faster. And I love what I do. Like I am going to be doing this for the next year. I already have my weekly or my yearly planner. Let me actually pull it up without, give me one sec. I'll share it with you. But the whole point is everything is structured. If you don't have structure, it's so easy to just watch another TikTok or watch another YouTube video. But if you're like, okay, from 11 to 1 on my calendar, it shows I have to make calls. it's only up to you to decide if you're gonna make those calls. And so Jack and I are really here to help everyone, and there's more people helping than just us. But really, at the end of the day, only you could help yourself. And we have all the tools and resources we think you need. There's a couple things that I would suggest everyone get if you want to take calling more serious, and if you don't have a dialer, something I kind of push Chris to give it a try. I know there's a couple websites that have like a free 7-day trial. So just kind of giving that a try, and you'll start seeing the difference in terms of how many more people you're able to talk to, because you're not manually having to dial every time you want to call the next agent or seller. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to pull up.
And sorry, Alex, I just want to chime in super quick. I want to applaud Alex for this. And just let everyone know too, like Alex is like super structured, super like vision focused and on top of everything like that. And he's helped me a lot in terms of like locking in and focusing on goals and like future structure and things like that. Cause I'm often a person who's kind of, I wouldn't say all over the place, but it's like, okay, I have shit to do, da 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 da. And then like I'm missing the vision and like destination of where you want to go. So like actually having everything structured and planned out really helps a lot. So definitely appreciate Alex for going over this stuff, and I think everyone should take advice from this and kind of plan out their short-term and long-term goals.
Let me see if I could zoom in, because I know it's even hard for me to see. But with this sheet, it's the EOS model. Chris actually pushed me to give it a listen. There's a book called What the Heck is EOS? And then I also listened to like another version of it, which is just a little bit more advanced. But basically, for next year, we have Jack and I kind of have like this is like our vision board, I guess you could call it. And so it might be better to show you this part first. And so in it, you want to identify your issues. So everyone has different issues, so it's important to kind of figure out what problems you're having so that you could come up with solutions to those issues. And so rocks are basically like what you want to focus on throughout the quarter. And so for us, at the start of quarter 1, we want to, not at the beginning of quarter 1, but eventually I want to start doing PPC leads. I want to consistently have people join the group and help as many people as I can. I want to find lead managers who I feel comfortable doing more follow-ups, closing deals. But that's on Jack and I to really come up with that, because without a clear definition and understanding of how we can make someone be successful, it just kind of like you're just praying and hoping things go well, when in business you could plan and really forecast what your next month, week, even just whole year could look like. And so things don't always go as planned, but as long as you have a good structure to kind of lean back on when you get off track, it's really helpful and really beneficial. And as you can see, we're shooting for huge goals. Like our yearly plan is to do $1.2 million in profit, which sounds insane when I say it out loud, like to myself right now. But because I have this board, it really helps me have a clear definition and goal of what I think we could do and what I want to do. And yeah, I mean, everyone could kind of make their own. And I joined Sub 2 and really started getting involved in real estate in May of this year. So it's only been 7-ish months. And I I believe after the Lubbock portfolio we just took down, I've closed on 18 deals. And there's people that have done way more deals than me and that are way better than me, for sure. But the fact that I was able to do that within less than a year goes to show you that as long as you're staying consistent and committed to getting better every day, there's no reason. You have the community, you have the tools, you have the resources. It's really just up to you on how bad you want it.
Yeah, definitely, Alex. Well said, man. Well said. And yeah, that's what I see it too. Like this is kind of just the start for all of us. And I mean, I tell people who are just getting into the industry, struggling, like for example, that lady that brought us that Novation deal, man. I was helping her out like 4 months ago, kind of right before we started working, Alex. She was like one of the people that was kind of making some calls for me, and we never did a deal together. And she was kind of working for some other people as well too. And she was thinking of quitting, and she's like, "I'm gonna quit. This is a lot harder. I don't know how much longer I can do this, Jack." And I'm like, literally, like you sound good on the phone. Just stick with it. Eventually, like it'll come. And then she tells me like I think like 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, she's like, "Jack, I just got my first deal." And she made 15 grand on her first deal. It was like a $60,000 assignment fee. Of course, she was part of a team, so she got a portion of that, but she made 15 grand on her first deal, which was like half what was basically her 6 month salary she made in one deal. And then after that, like a month and a half or like a month ago, she got another like 5K deal, and then she just locked up this Novation with me, Chris, and Alex, and she'll probably make like 10 off of that or something. So she tells me to this day, like I was like so close to quitting, and if you weren't motivating me and talking to me on the phone and stuff like that, that I may have actually just quit this and just went back to working my job. Where now she's doing this full time. Um, and just like Alex said, in a really short period of time, we've done a lot of stuff. And of course, we're working a lot, putting in a lot of time and stuff like that. But everyone can do it. There's so many people that are much smarter than us, and you know, they just need to put in the work and set things up and do what they need to do and not give up on the whole process and structure of things. But then there's also people too that are probably not as smart as us that are running circles around us in a shorter period of time, like Alex has said.
Oh,
Because yeah, so it's really just eventually I tell people there's that moment where like the dam bursts and everything just starts clicking, and we kind of had that like 3 4 months ago. Um, but really good stuff, man. Thanks for sharing that, Alex.
yeah, and then another thing is you can't really strive for perfection. Strive to just be better. Um, and Jack and I are improving every day. And so if there's still room for improvement for us, there's room for improvement for all of us. And so we want to grow with you. And again, like thank you to everyone in here and everyone that's just been supporting us. It helps me wake up every day and want to be better. Having people rely on me allows me to not have the chance to just stay in my bed an extra 15 minutes. And so it sucks sometimes, but I'm very grateful for every one of you.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Grateful for you both. You guys are amazing. Like, there's ways to go with that age to be this successful and disciplined.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Means a
Yes,
lot. Yeah,
definitely
and
great for you guys. Thank you all. Thank you, Jack and Alex, man. Appreciate you.
yeah, of course. Thanks, Braxton. And I don't know if this was intentional, Alex, but this was a nice little kind of end of the Zoom for the end of the year, going into 2024, with just the mindset, focus, and the vision and everything like that. I think that's great. You know what I think would be good too? Maybe some of you guys kind of come up with a planner for your goals and what you want to achieve in 2024. And then maybe on one of the next meetings, a couple people kind of share their vision, what they want to accomplish, and kind of the breakdown of how they want to get there. And then
And
I think that could be cool.
yeah, and even if like your goal is literally just to do one deal a month, your life will be so much different by the end of the year, I promise. Um, there's some deals where you might only make 3K, 4K, 5K, but who knows? There are deals out there where people are making six figures, and to all of us, one of those deals, and we're living like it's a whole different life. And so that opportunity might not come tomorrow, might not come in a month, but as long as we're all staying consistent and working hard to get there, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing too. I tell a lot of newer people who are like not it's not saying everyone has instant gratification, but like to just kind of put that on the back burner. And I know so many people understand it too of like, hey, this is a snowball effect. This is building out. Like, even if your goal is, hey, I just want to do one deal in 2024 because I haven't done a deal yet and I've been trying this for a few months. Once that one deal hits, think of all the buildup you've had to get that deal, the relationships you've built, the agents you've talked with, the pipeline you've kind of built out, and then also to that paycheck that hits, depending on what sort of deal that was. Of course, like the direct to agents sub two stuff that we were mainly focusing on, those are going to be smaller assignments typically than like direct to seller cash deals or like a novation or something like that. But we've really started to do more direct to seller stuff where the spreads can be a lot larger than, a $10,000, $15,000 or less assignment with a sub two deal. Um, where I mean, still, even those assignment fees can be life changing for people, but those bigger ones, like Alex was saying, like I think we're gonna have some novations, some other deals this year that are gonna be crazy big assignments, and then also flips and stuff like that too. Like some of those deals in Lubbock, I'm sure we're gonna flip, and one of them looks like it has a really good spread. So yeah, super grateful for everyone, and blessed to be here in a call with all you guys.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate everything you guys do. Because I know for me personally, coming in November and seeing my growth and the phone calls that I'll make, or sitting and talking and networking with agents or other people. Sure, we do want the deal, of course, immediately, but like Alex said, the growth seemed getting 1% better each and every day. Huge
Yeah,
difference from November to now. So thank you both very much.
awesome. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to add or share, questions or anything you want to touch on, Alex, here before we kind of wrap things up?
Hey, brother,
Go ahead. What's up?
oh, sorry, I had a quick question. That document you guys have, outlining kind of a guideline on what to do, or what would be good to do each week. Where is that document you guys have?
Yeah, I just made it. I'll post it in the group right now.
Awesome.
Will it be also in the, oh, you're posting it in the Discord?
I'll post it in the Zoom chat and Discord.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Cool, man.
And I mean, I didn't really have anything else other than the fact that when you win, I win, and I want to help you win. So let's do deals together and let's really crush it. Here to
Hey guys, thank you for everything you do. Have a wonderful, happy new year. I had a question was, what do you think would be a good idea and kind of like a challenging for all of us? Do you think that we should put during our calls, maybe put at least one offer a day or do 10 a week or maybe 5 a day? Like what is your opinion on something like that that can, I guess, push us to a challenge that we can actually.
Yeah, that's a good question. And kind of that document that I shared should give you a pretty good estimate of what you need to do to find a deal. But find what you feel comfortable and what you think you could do, because to some people getting 3 offers a day is possible, but for you it might only be one, and that's okay. I think with 1 offer a day, by the end of the month, I don't want to promise you you'll have a deal, but just the fact that you're taking action every day, it's very possible.
Thank
Hey,
you.
hey, Alex and Jack, I also wanted to ask you, guys, I just got my real estate license in North Carolina. I think I was telling you, Alex.
Yep.
So I'm a real estate
Awesome.
broker now in North Carolina. And do you all have like expired listings that you work with? Because I mean, I would love to kind of cold call or call expired listings for you, for you too, if that's something that you all work with or are open to.
We're open to it, man. Because you're an agent, being able to pull those lists should be pretty easy.
Okay.
I believe with MLS Access, they have like a expired or cancel listing section.
Mhm.
I'm not an agent, so I might be wrong. But yeah, definitely, I believe we even have a script in regards to expiry listings. So yeah,
Oh,
let's do it, man. And you could text me after this and we could talk further in depth about it as well.
perfect. Perfect. Sounds good.
Cool. Alrighty.
Awesome, guys.
Meilani, Braxton, you should definitely send her a message. She's really hungry and she's in the same market as you, so I'm sure there's definitely potential for both of you to collaborate.
Awesome. Yep, I just saw the group chat. No, that's awesome. Perfect.
Awesome, guys. Well, should we wrap things up here, Alex, then?
Yeah,
I think it was
everyone.
a good meeting today.
Yeah, it was a great meeting. Thanks again, everyone. And tomorrow's New Year's Eve, so just make sure you're safe and have a great time, and don't have too much of a great time because Monday we're back to work and let's start on the right foot.
Awesome.
Tuesday, not Monday.
Is it Monday?
Monday's January
Hey.
1st.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah.
New Year's, yeah. New
These are
Year's.
closed.
Tuesday then, but I mean, shoot, we'll probably be working Monday, Alex, right?
Oh, it's Monday.
Yeah.
Well, Happy
Cool.
New Year, guys. Thank you so much for everything you do again.
Awesome, guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I appreciate all of you. You have a amazing rest of 2023, which is just a day or two, and then we'll start 2024 off in an amazing way too. Awesome, guys.
Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. God bless.
God bless you too. Bye.
Take care.